Hello, hello. Okay, I don't know what this is. Every time I turn this on anymore, I have to fuck with the mic to get it to work. It's there's two devices that always seem to grab it, and I usually if I unplug it and plug it back in, that didn't work today. There was an update, so they probably fixed it so it didn't work any better than what it did. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the game. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to organize on the server. I'm trying to organize a community build for Halloween, and I kind of want to show them what I'm interested in. At least in theory. I don't want it to look like this, but I just kind of want to give them an idea of something that I already did. With the people that are on here, I got a feeling it's going to look a lot better. I hope. And now, of course, because I gotta mess with this. I'm gonna shut a few things off now that it's actually wanting to work. Okay, now this is my old realm. Before I gave up trying to run a realm because I mean it was just they were I can't I'm not 100% because I really was not feeling good back then, but I'm pretty sure I was getting double charged every month. Okay, now this here was an attempt at a mob farm, and it ain't even fully working, but I think they've got the mechanics because I'm getting a steady drip of like gunpowder and other shit. So it seems to be working better. But the whole idea was to be a centralized toilet where it would flush, and it this thing got out of sync. Uh, I made one on a PS4 that worked really good. Okay, now over here is where at least the end portal we found is. If you basically go down the tree, down in the center of the tree, it basically goes right down to the end portal. Or down here, there's like the stairs that goes down to the. God, I haven't been on this thing in a while. With all the glitches they had and the corruption bugs, I quit playing on this thing because I just didn't want to lose what I had built. But I've got a now the one guy on the server actually builds roads way better, but I actually made a pretty good road network out here. I can go a lot of places by horse. I'm not going to go over everything, but I am going to kind of take a look at what I do have. And I can fly quite a few places without any rockets because I built the trees and other water lifts to kind of get me up. They kind of save on rockets. Okay, now this was a couple years ago. I didn't do anything last year, but a couple years ago, this was the attempt at the Halloween thing. It sucked. This was a work in progress. I found a skelly farm. This is pretty close to where we spawned in. This wasn't exactly where we spawned in, but it was pretty close to where we spawned in. And there's a skelly farm down there. I don't have a slime farm, but there's a slime chunk down there. But I would like to think that my building has actually gotten a lot better now. Not that it was that great to begin with. I really haven't been on here in a while. I don't even know what maps I got on. Okay, now we are about to approach Lag City. The one guy I played with, he was on a mobile phone, and it just swamped every time he came over this. Uh, we started this out as a joint base, and pretty soon the lag created by me drove him out of his home. Okay, now some of this stuff isn't me. There were some of us were more active than others, but there was literally like 4 or 5 people on this base to begin with. This is Darth. They called him. I put an egg spawner up here, and it. I don't know how well it worked when he was on the ground because realms had such limited range. But if I would go over there and camp out, it would. But he was making like a little temple over here, and but Chicken and his girlfriend, or I think, was playing on here. And then because his nickname was Chicken, I made like a really massive wool farm, and I really had no use for it. So I made like chickens over here to signify his base. Again, this was another ugly build I did. This was just a totally ugly build I did. But it was an homage to Mumbo. I had the mustache on it because I actually learned a lot from watching his videos. I'm not entirely sure that wasn't my build. Now this here was a semi-functioning tree farm. I got the idea from, I think, Little Mango. He was using pistons, I think. And I figured, well, because I had a skeleton farm, so I would occasionally, I don't even know if it's full, I would occasionally load it with bone meal, and this thing would click on and off. This thing would click on and off with the sun. So every day these things would get hit with bone meal, and then if they were grown, the bone meal wouldn't actually activate. But it got them to spawn a little bit faster, and then as you cut the trees, you could throw the wood and the saplings and sticks and everything would fall down into. The only problem I had is I kept getting chickens spawning in there, and it would plug it up, but then everything would get captured down here. And I've got I think it's a bubble velvet. I don't think it's a dropper vader. I think it's a water vader. And what would happen is well, this here might not be hooked up to it. They would fill up here. Yeah, see, I get mostly eggs in there, but this thing would fill up, and I would get this thing would fill up, and as it did, I would take stuff, but it's mostly like eggs and stuff now, and then I would just manually fill them into here, And then these are just some starter farms I had, like pumpkin, um, netherwort, and then this was my turtle farm. It didn't work the best, but it worked, and I actually got a fair amount from it. It was still working when I left this. This is a really shitty cactus farm. I can actually make better ones than this now, but this was I don't really need a great one. I just need a little bit. Um, this here, this is actually one of my better achievements. And this is a kelp farm. What happens is the kelp will come through here and cook. And then as I take it, I basically, I have to remember how this thing works, but it basically the kelp comes out of there, goes through the furnaces, and I think what I do, yeah, I feed them back into this third one. So like I take all my kelp here, I make my kelp, and then what I do is I feed it into this one. And what that does is that feeds it through the furnace array. And then anything that is not needed for the furnace array will fill these first two. It'll come all the way up and fill these. And then, and that's basically how I do it. Now, this here, I have kelp that I can come and grab and use for something else. And I don't know if this still works. I'm eventually going to start using this, I think, for not only for this, but for bamboo. The one realm or the one game I was playing on, I was actually working on. Okay, how do you fire this up? Yeah, what happens is that fires that up. Now this is a piston machine, flying machine that's going to harvest. It's going to harvest that on this side. And so it goes down there and it cut all that off on the way down. And now it's coming back. Now this should fire up the other one. It broke. I haven't used this thing in a while. Yeah, and I can't get back in there. I'll have to. And of course, we've got a turtle freeloading in there. Yeah, they broke something else on this. It's been a while since I've been on here. I don't know what the fuck they broke on this one. I probably can't fire through. Yeah, it can't fire through glass now like it used to. They broke it, and I'm not going to worry about fixing it. But it worked. It worked pretty good. I was pretty happy with it, and they completely fucked it. Thanks, Mojang. I don't know what the fuck it broke on this one. Okay, fuck it. I'm done. This is the part that frustrates. You spend all this time making shit, and they either fix something that had been broken for like eons, or they break something new. I don't know what the fuck they did. My old kelp farm was in here. I think I got that completely gutted. I was working on a castle. Um, this was an iron farm and a gold farm. This here is a flower farm. It makes these four types of flowers. I feed it with my skeleton farm. Um, and I don't do insides very good, but I was working on this. Here's the portal to get out of here. I was working on a nice little castle. This here was a huge furnace array. I make different ones now, but this was the big furnace I had back then. Oh man, this thing's even lagging me out a little bit after all this time. Um, Up there goes to the. I should see if the iron farm works. I don't know if it still does or not. But this was like a chicken farm. I think that's another chicken farm. I can't remember what this thing is. I think this was an attempt at a village breeder that did not work. It worked on Java, but it didn't work here. That is, I think this is what I settled on for a villager breeder. This one might actually still work. And then I had a way to send them up there because, like I said, I was trying to make an iron farm. Now, furnace array. This is my sugarcane farm, I believe. I think that's what this thing was. Yeah, this is a sugarcane farm. Now, this was the gold farm. The old villager trading area was down there. Gold farm. I really gutted this. It was like an old style, and then the iron farm would come down, and the pigs would go down, and then they would all die in the same chamber. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna go up there. I guess it won't take that long. I don't know that the iron farm still works. Oh, this is laggy as hell even for me. Yeah, this was a work in progress. I didn't put a lot of time into this because every time I would try a new iron farm, it would break, and so I just got to where I didn't care anymore. I don't know if this one would work anymore. The villager do seem to be working better. I will give it that. And then I was working on a tree area. Okay, I'll do a little flyby. That there was a. This here was an attempt at a trading area. This here is my pumpkin and melon farm. This here was like my pride and joy. This thing here was just beautiful. I was turning this into my new trading area. When the village and pillage thing came out, I had this idea that I was going to make this real artsy fartsy thing, and then let them, have them in their own individual pens and stuff like that. And I got disillusioned on that fast. I don't know if I actually put in because they kept breaking. I kept working on it and they kept breaking, so I just got to where I did not give a fuck about it. But I originally was gonna have like, oh, there'd be a villager here and he'd have a nice little penned area, and they just kept breaking. I don't even know if these guys still work or not. But that was the plan. But I did. I made him one. This was a tutorial, and I can't remember the guy who did it. What I did was I just basically replicated it. Like it was supposed to be one of these, and I just started adding on, added a level, and I was pretty happy with this. And I did again. I might even actually be able to do better stuff than this now, but this was like a pretty big build for me. And then over here, yeah, this is going to be the wall around it. It's still this is some of the best work what you're seeing. Oh, same thing here. This was a really big because again at the time I was planning on having a lot of villagers to trade with, and this here was a work in project process. Again, this was somebody else's build, and I kind of repurposed it, but it's real similar to the original. This is where the one guy I played with, he made his like original hut, and I was but I was making this because I asked him, I go, can I rebuild that? Because he had this ugly little hut here. He goes, yeah, go ahead, man. I'm not. He goes, I can't come over anymore. The lag was just killing. But this was a work in progress. And this here, this thing worked way better. Yeah, because his original hut, this is what it was. And so I started repurposing it, and I was going to move all his shit into it. Even if he never came over, he was going to have a home over here. And then he had a. This is where he would go mining over here. So I basically made the mine shaft a little more decorative for him. And then this here was a cocoa bean farm. This was a sheep farm. This is where I would breed them, and I could kill them here for meat and stuff. But I would breed them, and if I needed them up there, I would send them up there. And then I originally built the one. I think it was Doc M's, where you had this big water slide that moved them around, and then I basically went to this one here, where every time they eat the grass, they and this thing might be broken now, but every time they would eat the grass, it would send the feed tape around and give them a new piece of grass. And so they were constantly, and this thing here put out an absolute ton of wool. And the only problem is occasionally because of the tape feed, but I mean, I literally got a ton of wool out of this thing. I mean, I literally got boatloads and boatloads of wool out of this thing. I'm gonna try and get this done before I gotta pee. This was like my main base here. I had a couple of them, but this was the first one that we built. And this was a horse farm. I had a couple of these, but this again was the main horse farm. And I bred them here. These were like the breeding pairs, and any of the ones that were named were worthy of keeping. And I usually like the two named one here would be the parents. This one would be the one that I just produced. I'm not even sure if I had a raid farm here. This might have been before raid farms were a thing. And then I did some work in the nether. It was really a bad idea, but for the most part, I built a lot on the overworld. Over there goes to over there goes over to the ocean monument. Yeah, I don't know if I ever built a raid farm in here. This is like a place I could, when I was working in the nether, I could come to this. If I go through that, that goes over to the oh, the first place I stopped at over there where the big tree is. I pretty much did a flyby. I landed on there. Shulker with glass for the glass projects over here. I used a lot of glass in the nether. Um, and then this was a chicken farm. This here, I was working on a wither skeleton farm, and that goes over to there. Yeah, and this goes over to the mesa we found. It took a while to find a mesa, but wither skeleton farm, desert farm, and that's where I would go for sand in the mesa. And then I had pumpkins so I could have a light source in here. Ooh. Now, I never got around to it, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do it justice anyways. Um, Blaze Farm was over there. Down there, there was a Blaze Farm. But over here, and I can't remember what this. I think went to another Nether fortress that I found. This here is an actual mushroom farm. There's mushrooms buried under here, and they should eventually start poking out. This here, this is basically goes over to the. If you go up there, that'll over there is the portal to get you to the to where I was, where the mob spawner was, the end portal. That's where that goes. Again, I was working on. I wanted some of this areas to be safe from wither skeletons, at even with the lights, so I slabbed a lot of it, and that's the only reason this stuff is all slabbed. I might get, yeah. See, there's wither. I could go down there and hunt, but I was really slabbing this so I wouldn't run into an awful lot. This was a nether wart farm. This here goes over to where the first place where I got a lot of my sand, and the theme I was going for was to indicate like what was on the other side. So here you can clearly see you'd be going into a desert. I don't know if I would do this again like this because there is just this one here. One of the guys, he just went out diagonally. This is kind of a little bit of what I did when I was looking for my base on the Ace of Base server. I went through there at a diagonal to some extent. And he was doing that. He would go to like 1,000 by 1,000 and 2,000 by and he made it pretty far, and then he got killed. And so what I helped him with is he told me roughly where his coordinates were, and I just went through a diagonal here so he could punch a base through. And then I don't want to blow a whole bunch of shit up, but this was a work over here, and I can't remember what is over here. I think I made a mushroom portal because there's like an actual yeah, down there you can't really, yeah, I'm not going to get blown up and have all this stuff destroyed, but there's a mushroom biome down there because there was a mushroom island over by where this is. But this here, and this is the main thing for I'm gonna post this on the I'm gonna post it on YouTube, and then I'm gonna post it on the Ace of Base server. This right here, so it's gonna be around 30 minutes. This here is what I want to kind of showcase to the Ace of Base people. And if I had the time, and maybe someday I'll revisit it if I'm feeling better and I got the time to fuck around. But I was actually going to make some artificial ice spiders. That was a plan to fix that up. Uh, but I kind of worked on this. Oh, I think the game crashed. Yep, I think the game crashed. Yes, we have a game crash. Okay, what I'm going to do is as soon as I get the I'm gonna sort of pause this for a minute. I gotta pee, and then I'm gonna let this thing restart. So what I'm doing is there's for the intermission I'm trying to get it to where it will grab something off the web. It's a work in progress. Like now that I got the Iron Badger, the Horny Badger video up on YouTube, I want to link that into one of those. Okay, we are coming back to the game. Thank you for being patient. Yeah, this here. Oh my God, the this is so much better. I can see so much farther than what I used to be able to. I can tell you that right now. Okay. But I had this. This is like the water was holding it up, whatever you want to call it. And I put this more for decoration than for functionality. And then, but these were here. Well, one of them will actually take you up. Oh, you can actually see the. I should say this. I quit playing this when it left the realm. You couldn't see a lot of this from the realm. Okay, but we got this here, and but I took down this whole mountain. These stairs used to be on the side of a mountain, and then when they used to have that glitch where you could kill the wither with obsidian pages, I did a lot of that there. Okay, now this you could never see on the realm. This looks so much better off the realm because you have the render distance. You have the chunk distance so much further. But this originally was supposed to be finished, and I just couldn't get around to it. The one guy that was helping me, he started having internet problems or whatever, and he helped when he could, but he just couldn't get on a lot back then. And but it was supposed to be like a snow globe effect. Oh, you're gonna die when you come up. But it was like, and this is something I wouldn't mind doing. And again, it's going to be a collaboration. I don't want to dictate everything, but I kind of like the idea of a walled city. And maybe, and I don't necessarily want to do a snow globe. I'd rather save that for the Christmas one, but I wouldn't mind a walled city. Uh, but it was basically a village. I didn't have villagers everywhere, but it was a work in progress. But it was a village, and but I had some here, and again, these guys kept breaking at a certain point, which really took a lot of the fun out of it. But right around, I'd say probably like a couple weeks after Christmas is when I quit working on it. And the thing with this, and this is why, for me, if I was doing it alone, I would do it because by taking over a village, it gives you structure. Like I shaped it a little bit, but this is where the hills were, and then I shaped it a little bit. And now these I added completely. These were mine. And then the thing is, these things light up when the sun comes, when the sun goes down. They're actually hooked up to uh, two solar panels. But and the same thing with these guys, and I think the same thing. Yeah, same thing with these guys. Same thing. These things all lit up at night, and again, this was a work in progress. Okay, and then I'm not entirely sure how you get there, but I was basically I had dug down because this actually connects to where the withers die, and there's a way to get down. Oh, here it is. You can actually go down there. I think. Yeah, you can actually go down there. It was a work in progress, but it was all lit up. And this guy, I don't know exactly how he got loose, but I got a free one running around. And then this here has, I was eventually going to put in piston doors to kind of block this off. But this was like where the tree area was. I think there's some planted. No, I haven't. I must have harvested. Oh, yeah, there are some that are planted, not all of them. And then I had these villagers here. These were the clerics. This is like just temp storage for while I was working here. A furnace, the shelters with the stuff I hauled around. But every one of these buildings was placed by me. But and generally, if it's got clear glass or mostly clear glass, then what it is, like if there's any clear glass in the windows, then what it is, that was an original building that I repurposed and moved. Now I might have only moved them a block, but I incorporated so there was light sources in there so that shit wouldn't spawn in there. Uh, I put beds in like over by here to get things to breathe, but I put in some stuff like fireplaces. This was before the campfire, so I actually, if I had a chimney, I used spider webs for the smoke on it. Um, yeah, these guys must have bred. But yeah, you have villagers running around. This was actually where I slept. This was kind of my house, and I put a bunch of beds in there. So if, there were just a couple people on the server, but I was hoping we'd get more. Stained glass. And I wanted this to be like a snow globe. I never got it finished. That was a pain in the ass doing that, but I thought it was well worth it. Um, More again, just this is kind of what the inspiration should be for what I'm working on here. I hope people can see it. And chicken farm and more crops. And this was just a work in progress. I was eventually going to light it up like this. If you could even do it with carpet, cover everything with carpet or whatever. But I usually hide light sources in there so they're not quite as obvious. This was fishing pond. There was your ice rink, and I was gonna eventually put fishermen over here by the fishing pond, but there's an ice rink I put in. These were kind of like guard towers, and at times I would even be able to keep snowmen up there, but a lot of times they would come off. I didn't have a lot. I slowly lit this up to cut down on spawns and to melt the snow, and then once you got the lid on it, the snow wouldn't come back. This here, I just basically, there was a cavern down there. I wanted to light it up. There might have been future plans. I can't really say for sure. This here, I gotta find out if this actually still works. I put a lot of effort in this. Make sure we don't got nothing that goes boom over here. Yeah, I don't think we got any that goes boom over here. This is an ice farm. This might not work anymore either. Nope, it still works. But basically, you could just go up to the top. You could even come down here and mine it if you wanted, but just go up here, and what would happen is you got to be careful with light sources because they can fuck up an ice farm. But basically, what will happen is um, this here will fill up here. And then as soon as this outside fills up, then it will start pushing them into here. And I usually would just shear them off here and get the ice. But this thing still appears to be working. And then you basically hang out here for like a half hour, and you'll have a more or less filled up ice farm. And then I don't know how to do this. I don't really have any idea. Maybe they could make a pumpkin-headed stick or something. But this was supposed to be a candy cane. This was he originally basically just took over one of the village. It was one of those mostly brick towers that come stock, and I finally put a notice on it. This building has been condemned. Please replace it. And he made one. It looks way better than what was there, which is all I really cared about. And but in here, I made this so it was dual purpose. I can't remember if there's another place to get off on there. I think that was the top floor until you come up here. We made that. And basically, this allows you to fly back. This looks so much better off realm because you can see so much more of it. But this is the aerial view, and I eventually was going to put like a lid on this, but this is as far as I got. This is what it looked like. And this is kind of what I'm going for the holiday themed one. And I'm hoping I get a handful. It'd be great if the whole server would come together. It really would be. But I'm just looking, and it doesn't have to be anything like this, but this is just an idea of what I'm looking for. Um, I'm hoping it really isn't too much bigger than this, although I would like this one to get finished. I just wasn't able to get it all done between my health and the fact that I did a lot of it by myself. That's what I'm looking for this time. Peace out, everybody. Have a good day.